being tried in absentia.
Alistair, thanks very much. British people are in the dark when it comes to health advice. This is according to new research by ukactive. The organisation found just 1 in 10 people are aware of the recommended exercise guidelines and warns this is a barrier in the fight against disease ultimately. Well, joining us now to discuss this, Baroness Tanni Grey-Thompson, the former Paralympian and chair of ukactive. A very good morning to you. Ignorance is not bliss.
No, it's not, and it's really worrying that only 1 in 10 people are aware of the physical activity levels, because it's actually costing the nation around £20 billion a year, and it's responsible for 37,000 early deaths. And what we do know is that activity can prevent things like diabetes, can help heart disease. So we really need to change the way our country looks at physical activity. The generation of children in school now are the least active they've been in 30 years. So it's really a ticking time bomb.
I was talking to a GP recently who said we may have reached peak longevity, and the reason he said that was because of that obesity epidemic, and there's a cohort, as you indicate, of younger people who are coming through who will simply not reach some of those average ages that the older generation, who for whatever reason may have had healthier lifestyles, funnily enough, will actually get to.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. I don't know any parent who kind of expects their child to die before them, but the reality is, if we don't do something about physical activity, that's what's going to happen. So, one of the things we're working on at ukactive, we've got National Fitness Day, which is the 27th of September, and really we're using that as a highlight to kickstart activity and to remind people that they need to change their lifestyle and they need to take this really seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose some people might say we're in danger of medicalising something which, for a lot of people, amount to common sense. And actually, in a sense, a lot of people will have made a choice, won't they? They know that they ought to be out taking a brisk walk or maybe visiting the swimming pool, but maybe they've got a big commute, maybe they're exhausted after a day at work, and they just don't want to do it. And in a sense, that's the choice they're making, isn't it?
There is, but people need to take a little bit of responsibility for what they do themselves. But also it's about showing people what they can do. So again, National Fitness Day, we've got partners, you've got Argos who are bringing fitness to the high street, AXA PPP, they're a company that take it very seriously. They're encouraging all their workforce to be active before work. It's about finding different ways to do it. I mean, in London, you can get off a bus stop earlier and walk. Where I live in the northeast of England, that might be 2 miles away, but people need to think about how they walk. They need to think about not just the sort of spots through the week where they're active. They need to think about their whole life and their whole day, because that's really important, because the point that they hit illness or they hit disease, they can do things to help themselves, but they need to think about prevention rather than cure. Simon Stevens, Chief Executive of the NHS England, said last year that being active is a miracle cure, but we need to get people to be thinking about it right now and not putting off, when it's too late.
Tanni, as you're talking, we're just looking at some pictures from a swimming pool, which I scarcely recognise, because when I go to my local swimming pool, you can't move. It's so busy. There will be people who will say, you know what, it's a great idea. Sometimes the facilities are wanting in certain parts of the country.
Yeah, and we're also working on a scheme. We're talking to the Treasury at the moment to get to revitalise some of these older leisure centres and places, because actually, we're in a really difficult time right now, and leisure is one of those areas that's being cut by local authorities. So what we're saying is we actually want leisure centres to combine with libraries, maybe with childcare arrangements, and just use that space really smartly, because the dangers are that if we keep making excuses for not doing it, we're not going to do it. But yes, you can go to a gym, you can go to a fitness provider, you can also walk around, you can do things in your own home to change your behaviour, and that's why it's a combination between education. People need to understand what they can do, but they need to take that bit of personal responsibility for themselves, because the reality is the NHS in its current form is simply not sustainable, and I want free healthcare provision. If we're going to continue that, we have to try and sort of break that pattern of physical inactivity.
Yeah, my colleagues mock me when I walk around the studio here, but I'm right and they're wrong. Baroness Tanni Grey-Thompson, nice to talk to you. Thanks a lot. The future of farming could lie 100 feet